got your unpublished one up.
Hmm.
I want to pull your unpublished one up just so we can show them. Okay.
I'll drag it over
No.
here in a minute.
Tell them what the progress is and all that.
Last name. Jay. What's your last name?
Trejo, Trejo. I used to run the scoreboard for Wayne for years, and Marcus and Mike, his brother. He started since he was a freshman, and so I used to go watch them play at Ohio State.
Thought highly of. We'll see.
Here, so that you
Cool.
can show them.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, this is the Board of Richland County Commissioners. I'm Darrell Banks with fellow commissioners Tony Vero, Cliff Mears. We are with our clerk, Stacy Crawl, our administrator, Andrew Keller. And from the Board of Elections, we have Matt Fitzfingeld and Jane Zimmerman. We're here with Matt Hills with us just in case. And Jose is representing
Try GSI,
and
voter registration system.
his last name is Trejo. Okay, so the Board of Elections and Jose, it's your show.
All right. Well, we're not here to ask for money today.
Oh my.
I know everyone,
You don't get a bonus for that.
I show what you spent it on.
yeah, we wanted to go over the website, and then also we just wanted to briefly discuss, we just got done with our audit of the November 2021 general election. Came out 100%, of course. We have 3 bipartisan teams that worked on the audit this time. It only took a day because it was a smaller election. We're supposed to do at least 5% of the votes. We overachieved. We did about 9% of the votes.
Didn't Paulette used to do 11%?
No. I think she did right at the 5. So we did Crossroads and Mansfield voting location, which was all the 3rd ward. And in that, we did the at-large race and the 3rd ward council race. And then we did the Awake Church over in Shelby, and we did the school board race there and the Shelby school levy. And how we do it is, we unroll the tapes from all the voting machines and we hand count those races by bipartisan teams. So we do the polls, and then we also do the absentee. We unroll all those tapes and we hand count them, and we hand count the paper ballots. And it came out 100% accurate. So we just wanted to kind of let you guys know we do audit our records.
And you chose 3rd ward because it was a close one, right?
Well, and that's a big precinct, big voting location. So, that was one of the reasons we chose that. It was a big location. So like I said, come out to about 9%. This is actually all the paperwork to complete the audit.
How long do you keep those records? So let's say Joe or Jane Public comes and says, hey, I want to is our voting process fair? And you say, well, actually, we did an audit, 100% matched our machines. How long do you keep those particular records?
It's going in our main file with the actual official election file, so we keep it pretty indefinitely. We're not required to keep the audits indefinitely, but we have official records, back to the 90s as far as the audits. We just have the official results, then we have a file with the audit right behind it.
Is there a timetable when you can dispose of them? You keep them longer, but
We keep them longer. We really want to keep, because we're getting requests for 2016's election, so we're not going to dispose of it like that. We want to be as transparent.
Not sure
as
what
we
the
can.
true retention is.
I
on that.
don't. Well,
Oh, there's the retention guru a couple rows behind you.
I don't believe there's retention on the audits as far as like 6 years, like with federal. Is that correct, Andrew?
You'd have to look.
No pressure here.
You'd have to look.
Yeah,
It's in the record.
Yeah.
schedule.
but
I guess, so you keep them for a bit so people, if they have questions, you can show them. Great.
So that was all on that. I'm going to turn it over to Jose and let him talk about what we've been doing on the conversion process and our website.
So we converted their data. We found a lot of discrepancies. We've been working with them. to correct all the
When
discrepancies.
you say discrepancies, you don't mean in votes, correct?
Registration,
Clearly here, okay.
this is,
Not what we want out there.
the things we were finding is you guys had a problem matching the record here with the record on the state.
Okay,
That is the official record. The record on the state is the official record. Whenever there's data here that does not match what's on the state generates something called an audit issue.
Right.
You all did not have the ability to correct those.
Now, when you say a mismatch, you're talking about an individual voter's information,
Yeah.
not what they voted for, but their
No, it's
name, address, or,
the registration information.
oh, okay, right.
It could be something like simple, like a driver's license number or the last four of the social or,
Or the voter history.
right.
They
Okay.
didn't have voter history there. And what the state does every weekend is they compare what they have to what you have through a machine that we call the VTTS. They used to have a machine called the Bridge. And every time anything doesn't match at all, they issue what's called an audit issue that basically tells you this is different than this and it shouldn't be. Because of the way your system was before, where you had multiple records for human, it was very hard for them to correlate the correct record to the correct record on the state. We don't do that. We have one record per human. Every record has an exact history of everything that's happened to that record. And so we are always connected directly to the one record state that we need to be connected to. And right now, we've corrected a lot of that information. There's still a discrepancy list that I've been here teaching them how to make those corrections. And in the near future, as soon as that work gets done, we're going to have 100% match with the state records, and we will stay at 100% match. We have 70 counties. We just got our 71st, Fairfield, and none of them have audit issues. And when they do on a Monday, Montgomery might have 2 or 3. They're a little big, and we teach them exactly what they have to do to correct that mistake.
so let's say you find a discrepancy as we've now upgraded our technology. So there's a discrepancy. What's the process to correct
It
it?
depends on what the problem is.
Okay, let's say an address was wrong. Like, it's simple. What would,
It's a very simple correction. We have the ability to go tell it to go special correct, and then it gives us access to the top transaction that we've had. They make the change, they hit save, that's it.
okay,
Our system takes it from that point on. It sends the packet, it verifies with the state that it got it, and then it comes back and it tells us that it's confirmed and we're done.
so how do we know, and I'm not asking to cast doubt, but obviously there's now a little more hands in the cookie jar between Triad, Richland County, the states. There's some electronic transit.
It's all them.
But I'm saying the state gets, didn't you just say that the state's record gets corrected or no?
It's always had that. There's always been a state system. There's always been a computer that relayed the information between the state and the county. And there's always been the county records. The problem was because you had multiple records for a human. Like Yosemite Sam, there's 4 records. Because every time Yosemite Sam left and came back, a different record was created. The state assigns an SOS ID, a Secretary of State ID, that matches the only active record that can be updated on the state. If that SOS ID doesn't match the SOS ID on your record that's trying to talk to it, it's not going to work. It will reject. Because
Right. I understand that. I guess I'm saying, how do we know that's secure to make sure that no one else can come in and mess with the records?
because they're not, they are not. We have the Secretary of State provides a T1 line that is, just a direct connection to them. It doesn't go anywhere. It's a direct T1 line that is connected.
So no one else outside can access it?
No.
Okay,
Nobody else can connect it.
that's the answer I was looking for.
Yeah.
Okay,
The Secretary of State has a direct T1 line to every computer in the county that is the relayer. to
Okay.
it.
Okay.
So it can be cracked.
thank you.
And multiple passwords that have to be changed every 90 days. So, and then they also have a system that detects if anybody ever tries to hack in, it identifies that hack.
Okay.
And the state sees it as well as that.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. So we've been correcting that information. And we have created their website. We're not gonna make it public until they're comfortable that everything on it is good, is working the way it should. I've been here yesterday and today because we're doing something that you all never had the ability to do before, which is actually define every one of the elected officials on the website, what the terms are, whether they're appointed or elected, if there's a vacancy. And in the future, once we have that set up, once we finish this project that I've got the staff working on that now, it's going to take a little bit because there's a lot of elected officials. We go from president to the very last central committee person. If they're ever on the ballot, they're going to be on that database. So, and once we have that, people will be able to go see that. But more importantly, later on, anytime somebody files for any race that's coming up on the website, we're going to have who filed.
Mhm.
So you'll be able to go to the website and see, has anybody filed for this race? And
You don't have to text Jane and say, "Ooh,
you know, has anybody
but that's
filed for
fun.
this race? And if so, who?
I was gonna say the same thing.
Don't think that's gonna stop.
So there's information here that is not populated yet because it hasn't been created yet. And we're teaching them how to do that.
Cool.
But the information that can be populated, we've done, like, so if they want to look themselves up, they can look themselves up. If they want to go look for any absentee, have you guys uploaded absentee information? Did you guys upload some? That's
No.
not one of the things that you did because we haven't converted that
No.
absentee stuff yet. But
So find Cliff on there.
okay, so like here, if you want a report on your voters, you can do labels, you can do a PDF report, you can do a comma separated variable download file. And you know, I'll just go ahead and do a PDF report real quick, or I can actually do a statistical report that just updates the chart. We can come down here and decide whether you're gonna have.
That piece of the pie is a little small in the blue there, man.
So
It's getting smaller and smaller.
come here and we can select them all, or we can just select just one party or the other. We can filter on precincts. So just to keep it small, and just filter on this one, just to do something different.
It's gonna get bigger in a couple of years.
Right.
Well,
We did it. Was that big?
about the gray,
I see a lot of red up there.
not as much as the gray."
So when you start processing,
You better get all those grades.
that's for that precinct alone. This is
What precinct was that?
1D.
1D.
Wendy, okay? And here it tells you what the party is. I mean, if you wanted to do no filtering, if you want to do countywide, there's your countywide. You know, and that's just a quick chart. If you wanted to do a report, you could do a PDF report. You could do a
Can you show them like a walking list? Can you pull up
yeah.
a walking list for 'em?
Yep, I need to know that pretty soon.
Yeah.
Well, he's getting the walking list question.
Yeah.
If we were doing a petition, we could go on there and make sure
Oh, yeah.
is
Registered, right. You can't do signatures, check the signatures, but you can make sure they're registered. You can do your own walking list.
Can't do signature check with this, you're saying?
Not on this, no.
You still have to come in the office.
Yeah, but the majority is making sure they're registered at that address.
Mhm.
PDF report. Now, when we do PDF report, we can tell it if you want history or not.
I saw a history of the last 40 elections,
Well, Daryl was around then, right?
including voting history up to.
He was around when
40
Andrew
elections.
Jackson was running. weren't you?
Wow.
I couldn't vote.
You can pick a certain election.
You could
If you want,
know about the
you just the people that's voted in the last odd year election. also.
Yeah, but it goes back that far though.
It's still in the state of
Here,
Kentucky.
walking list by voter address.
My buddy got
So I'm just gonna do it for Manfield 1A, just to keep it small. Manfield 1A, I'm gonna do a walking list. And we can have mailing address or not. I'm gonna go ahead and put no. And there it is. You download your file,
There's your walking list.
you open your file, and then you can print it. And there's your walking list.
You could do CSV in that as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Is it,
Make
because
it filter.
selected this, and you can just print this, or
Then you can combine addresses.
Yeah.
Which is what I do.
Can you convert CSV to Excel?
It's just,
it's
it's
actually Excel.
not a tech, it's an Excel file in a simpler form, so it's convertible, and then you can save it in a different format.
I'll go ahead and do that just so you can see downloadable file right there. And you can do it by household, like that way, if they're only listed once, that household or not.
Oh, wait, you can combine it beforehand?
Mhm.
Yeah,
I hear that.
right there.
Mhm.
You put a check mark household, everybody from that household, you get them on one.
So you get that address, but multiple people and which parties each person.
It'll tell you.
That's nice, because then you don't have to do that on the Excel side.
So, then you can include the voter districts if you want, the voter districts if you want. You can play with whatever you want, download it, see if that's what you like, and not do it again.
What does the statistical report give me?
This is that. See the update graph? It changes.
Oh.
Bart, I was telling Matt, the blue's getting smaller and smaller.
You know, the best thing to be is like, what
Great.
is it?
He already went with.
But mine says all about-
Tried it.
all about the
He
gray.
tried it. I said, you better get all them grays.
So here's your walking list in a CSV file with no mailing address.
County pie look like.
That was the county.
Now you-
Oh, no, the 81,000.
That was
1,000 was county.
Yeah, that's the county.
Oh. The file's over here. The file's over here.
Yeah, you can't see it.
You can't see it.
But
over
it's,
there.
it up, can you?
Well,
Great.
hold on.
let me show you.
Let her move it out.
We did open it, but it opened up
Right.
down here.
It opens up automatically, but, well, we opened it, but
There it is. There you go. Okay.
and so everybody's there. And if you want it, if you know how to hide columns, you hide the column.
Yeah.
Or hide,
Sort it, yeah, then it takes Excel knowledge.
yeah, you sort, you filter, you know, whatever you want to do.
Cool.
But it's all there.
What is column F?
That's the county ID. You would
I'd blow that away when I print it.
Yeah, 'cause I really,
really don't
And
need
the
F and
SOS.
G.
that'd be a huge number. A lot of error messages in there.
That's our registration.
So that's their actual county identification number on the state side then? When you say county ID for that particular?
No.
Look up here, the SOS. ID.
SOS, the G.
The SOS ID is the one that's on the.
So what would F correspond to?
That's on the state record. And the county ID number
Oh,
is
that's still, okay.
ours.
Yeah.
So, and the problem you've had before, you had like 5 county ID numbers for one person. And then if that SOS ID wasn't matched up to the right county ID number that was updating the only updatable record on the state, because every time somebody leaves, the state makes that record unupdatable anymore.
So for anyone listening in the public out there and or the media, this upgrade actually helps with making sure everything is right and verified. So this
Cleaning up the files.
cleaning
right?
up files.
Combining
One
some,
record per human.
right.
This is a good thing.
And the reason that's important is because the state record is the official record. So if your record here says that you're eligible to vote, but the record on the state says they're not, when the decision is made whether that ballot is counted or not, it will not be counted. Because on the official record on the state, it says they're not in the status that can vote.
Tough.
So to us, it's the height of importance that this data be correct. And that is why there's now a new PC in the Board of Elections. That is our PC. It's on their network, but we can remote into it. Because if that PC ever goes down, unfortunately in the past, if that bridge had gone down, it might take forever for them to fix it. I know this because other counties that have come to us have had that experience. We don't tolerate that. If that PC goes down, we either are going to remote it and get it working, or we're going to get in our car and we're going to come here and we're going to replace it. You will never be down more than one day. Because it's too important.
You're not gonna wear the Ohio State Santa hat though, are you?
You can wear that year round.
I might.
Yeah,
It's still
more than
Christmas
welcome
season.
to.
It's still Christmas season.
I think Santa's delivering them a defense for Christmas.
Jose, can you pull up,
He didn't hear
can you
that.
pull my name up, or I want to show them like voting history, how that shows?
So I'm going to just close
Yeah,
that.
close that. There you go.
See that as red?
So you want to look for you?
Yeah, let's see if Matt's properly registered.
How do you spell his name?
FINFGELD
Got it.
MATTT or TH? How are you in there? Are you in there as Matthew or Matt?
Matthew.
Okay.
What's your middle name?
Two T's.
Todd.
2 T's.
Two T's.
What's your middle name?
Todd.
Todd, okay.
Only one person that calls me that, and that's when I'm in trouble.
I would, I,
Guess who
So
that is?
when somebody finds themselves,
He still does.
when somebody finds themselves and they look in their voter details, well, here we give them
Avalon, that's a fancy area.
then when they look at the voter details, here's where they can even see their sample ballot. And I don't know that we have any up
Not up.
We
right
don't
now,
have any right now.
but before every election, we're going to teach them how to create a database that will be populated with everybody's sample ballot. When they tell us it's complete and we have them test it, then we will upload it to the website so everybody can go and click on that and see what their ballot looks like. But it'll have overlaid on it sample. So if anybody tries to print it and vote it, it's going to be easy to tell that it is from the website and it's not an official ballot. They can check the status of their absentee ballot, which again, we don't have any absentee information up there yet, which is why this isn't published publicly yet. They can print an absentee request, so they don't have to bother calling them. They just go website, print it, and then they submit it and send it to them. Here's all his information. Here's all the voter history. He's voted once or twice. We've recovered all that from the old data. His precinct, his polling place, directions to his polling place. So they can print that and find a way to get to where they're supposed to be going.
Now we know where you live.
And then
You've stalked me before. Don't lie, Tony.
there's districts that specifically represent him. And, you know, if there's other people that are in the same address, we say who they are. So you guys, if you're looking at that, you know what that is. And in addition to that,
Mhm.
if they want to print the absentee request here, they can do that. They can print a request to become a poll worker right here.
Oh,
There you go.
look at you guys
Huh?
a plug to get poll workers. How about that?
Then again, they could just see the sample ballot here. They could send an absentee ballot status. They could see right here whether they've gotten the ballot back or not, whether the ballot's been sent to them or not, whether they've even gotten the request or not. And again, there's the directions to the polling place.
So stupid question. How do you stop someone from signing someone else up to be a poll worker?
You know,
Just saying.
That's a good question. Yeah.
I mean, there could be some pranksters that could have fun with that, right?
You notice the Get the Ohio Voter Info app right down below all that? You can put it on
On your
the app
phone.
on your phone.
Oh,
that's the app that I showed you guys on my phone last time I was here. Did you all see that?
Yeah.
This gentleman was not here. So I don't know if he's-
Yeah, I don't remember that.
but we have an app that's free. They can just go down to which either their Play Store or their Google Store, whatever. And it's the Ohio Voter Info app. And on the Ohio Voter Info app, they can set themselves up. And now everything that I can see there,
You can see there.
I can see on my phone. Everything that I can.
So a mobile app for this,
everything-
that I can.
You Pull your
This app-
ballot right on the app.
This app allows you to see everything that you can see on the website. And it's free to anybody in the county that wants to download it and use it.
I'm campaigning in a neighborhood. I can pull this up. I can look at my walking list online, right?
Mhm.
My phone.
You should be able to pull up,
Download it.
if you can pull up a walking list you should, and save it, you should be able to do this. Okay?
Okay.
The only thing is you have to go through this. See this BOEO browser? This is one of the security measures that the Secretary of State had them put so they don't get hacked. It's gonna be a little slight delay to get past that,
Yeah, okay.
but that's part of the security,
That's fine.
so.
Like that.
get the-
I find when I did my campaigning though, paper is easier than a phone. You need a little more room to write and check all, you're gonna spend more, like, I print it and
Yeah,
and
I
leave,
usually do
that way I
as
can
an
leave
option.
notes for myself. Yeah. I don't find the vote, when it comes to canvassing, now you'd have it where you are to check information. That's another story.
I mean, they have you can look at your ballot list, you can, your voting history, your polling place, directions to your polling place, all that stuff is right here.
Right.
Results come up there later,
We will
Results?
upload results.
and so I'll be able to get the results on that.
No, I don't think so. This is more like my personal stuff.
Okay.
This is the stuff that relates to me. Results will be on the website. And you could go to a website
Oh, right.
and then
Yeah.
just look at that there.
Mm.
But this app is more about my stuff. So that's when they look themselves up. I mean, and let's just take a shot. There's a John Smith in this county. And just take a shot. And there's all your John Smiths. Okay, and then you can find the John Smith you're looking for. Click on the voter details and there we go. Okay.
I know that guy.
You really, or you just making that?
No, I know that they worked at Cheryl School.
Okay.
True story, my best friend's father,
I think he worked at.
when I was doing a demo at a county,
John Smith.
they pulled him up.
Maybe, I mean, it's a common name.
I'm like a summit, So there's a lot of other things that will be available in the future. As soon as we have the data and we're comfortable that the data that we've gotten is converted properly, and if there's any corrections that have to be made, they are made. We are not fans of having anything on there that is not correct. I mean, it's either right or it's wrong. There is no in between when it comes to.
Is street report generation, is that walking list?
No, this is going to tell you what the streets are like. I just want the streets for this precinct in a PDF report. I can do it alphabetically by street name or precinct. Then
Just shows the streets. It's
And now. That report's going to be over here. Oh, it's there. And that's just your street. These are the streets for that.
I like that.
Mhm.
Doesn't show you party though, does it?
No.
It's the streets for that. No, it's a street report.
It's no voters on there.
This street,
Oh, okay, right, no names.
this is the street. This is the values for that street. This street is in this city, in this zip code, it's in this precinct. That's what it tells you.
It'd be a good year to go to every house.
Okay?
That's on that.
Hope to roll this out by the end of the year, or
Primary.
the very,
End of the year,
hopefully. I mean, that's our goal.
Come again?
end of this year,
Goals to have it live.
2 weeks.
Do what?
The goals to have it live this
Oh,
year.
yeah, by the end of the year.
No pressure.
Oh, yeah.
I don't feel any.
We're actually almost done. Got 6 other nerds down in senior working on all this stuff.
Cool.
That's what we do.
I like.
Any questions? We just wanted to,
Al,
Yeah, just want to double check a couple of the prices. I think this was 89,400 was the fee for the work, and the annual fee is 22,650. Are those still accurate numbers?
yes, they are.
And I thought I heard you guys say the goal is to have this live to the public by the end of 2021, which is about 2 weeks. And I think I heard Jose say that they're now up to 71 counties of the 88.
That's correct. On Tuesday, I collected the data for Fairfield County. And
Those are the things. Go ahead.
You gotta beat Fairfield. I want Jeff Fix to beat us.
3 other counties, Friday, tomorrow, in case you're curious. Here, there will come a time when we have candidate information up here, campaign finance information. People can go and get it. Issues. System, whenever any issues are out there, they're gonna be there. But I'm just gonna be honest with you, that's gonna be a while. We are not fans of feeding people water through a fire hose. It's the stupidest way to train people. We've been here a lot already, and we're gonna be here a lot. And that's why we charge what we charge for installation and training. It might be a year before they're completely trained on everything, because we're not gonna train something unless it's feasible to train. If you don't have petitions to check for 8 months, why are we training you on petitions today? You're not gonna remember it. It's not that you're not smart. It's that data retention is only good if you actually do it hands-on. So every time something new is coming up, that's when we're gonna be here, and that's when we're gonna train on that process. Campaign finance stuff, we don't even have that software installed. Questions and issue stuff, we don't even have that software installed, because there's too much to do to get what we inherited cleaned up. Only when all that base values are right are we going to proceed to the nice bells and whistles. Because they're great, but we got to have streets correct, that assign a precinct correctly. We've got to, things that we've identified were a problem. We have to make those corrections. So there will come a time when some of these things will all be populated, but it's not going to be at the end of this December. At the end of this December, we're going to have all the basic information, the ability to walk in, the ability to reports, see the voter history, print absentee requests, things like that. But campaign finance questions and issues, things like that we don't even have installed yet. You're going to have to wait on that. I just want to make sure you guys were clear that on the end of December 31, not everything's going to be live, because it can't be live until we have viable data. And we're not going to have viable data until we have those modules installed, trained, and it populated correctly. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Jose, how would you compare, because you've obviously done this in a lot of counties now, how would you compare the amount of cleanup that had to be done to this data with some of the counties of comparable size that you've worked with?
They're all like this. The reason we know what we have to do here is because we know how to check for to begin with, because we've run into it everywhere we go. And I'm not going to badmouth those people. They have to have a system that is generic enough to work in 50 states. They sell them everywhere. And because of that, they don't have the ability to do Ohio-specific things. We don't care about 49 other states. We care about Ohio. When the Ohio law changes, we change our software to comply with Ohio law. And that's why we are able to do what we do. And the problems that come with the systems that we inherit the data from are because they are designed to be very generic, and there are things they can't track. So they kind of fudge it to kind of make it fit. And so that kind of sometimes creates a problem. I hope that's semi-clear.
Yes, thank you.
Al, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Well, Jose, thank you for coming up. This is looks like a great tool for everybody in the county, and we appreciate it. And I know you guys will get this done. And even if it's the first week in January, we'll be happy with that.
We've been working.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great progress.
Thank you all.
See, moving forward in our
Welcome.
betterment of the residents, that's great stuff. Help the candidates too.
Being an elections expert is an accomplished singer as well.
Oh,
Singer.
I think there's a microphone down
We
there.
got time, Mr. Hammer. Wait.
you take requests?
Unfortunately, yesterday,
Yeah,
we did.
his singing voice got worn out a little bit last night.
They made me sing a song that I hadn't ever done in a long time, and it had a note that was challenging, and now I don't know, I can sing.
Rich.
That hat, not even a Christmas song for us? Really?
I
He did a
did.
Christmas
I did a
song last
Christmas
night.
song last night. I did the one.
I don't recall us being invited. Do you?
No, we weren't. No, we were shunned.
You didn't get the memo, huh?
Oops.
Check out Bill's Facebook.
See how it is. Is it on his Facebook page?
Not
the same,
him singing.
Oh, okay.
I was like,
Well, Bill's Facebook page is must read. Thank you, Jose.
thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for trusting us.
You got it.
Very well spent.
Do Amy first.
Sure.
Sure.
We unchained her from
That's fine.
downstairs to let her come up.
And that's
I'm
fine.
gonna go back down and chain up.
We have now been joined by Amy Hamrick from the Land Bank and Bart Hamilton, our our county treasurer.
Thank you.
You got promoted.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk, first of all, we're going to talk about the land bank. And evidently you're going to want to talk to us about matching funds.
Money.
Yes. As I'm sure everyone's aware, Ohio Department of Development has announced $5 million, $150 million for demolition and $350 million for remediation of brownfields. The grants are available on a first come, first served basis. After the initial award, which each county gets $500,000 for demolition, $1 million for brownfield remediation. Anything over and above that, you have to have a 25% match. So we have selected several projects, Westinghouse being the big one. For the Westinghouse right now, we are looking at needing about $1 million match. Here to ask the county commissioners to commit to that match. I realize we may get other funds along the way. If you commit up to $1 million, I can go ahead and get my application in for that project.
I thought the city was also included in that, right?
The city is included, but they've got to go through legislation and I don't know when.
It could be up to $1 million, but we don't believe between different pots of money and this and that it would be $1 million. It's just, we need to know someone can guarantee the $1 million
Right.
For now,
for now. So I needed to be clear.
it won't be all spent by the county, no.
No.
But
I do need that
because of the time,
commitment.
She's
Yeah.
got to get this thing turned in.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Got a short deadline.
Yeah, and I would argue, I mean, certainly a partnership, but the city has pride and it is located within the city. So I would expect them to.
I'd be shocked. I would be stunned if they didn't help us.
But at this point,
I-
to get that written commitment is going to take longer than I have with the grant guidelines we currently have.
Where'd that money come from?
Well, we would defer to him. I presume it could be general fund. I probably would be capital projects funding. I think that's a capital project. And I'm not, we discuss it with our county administrator, Stacy. I mean, we anticipate having the end of the year, the money certainly in our capital projects fund, but the bill's not due yet.
It's gonna be a long time.
And you have foundation, so there's many pots of money. We just like guaranteeing a car loan, right? A very expensive.
Wait a minute. I would never co-sign for something. That's a really bad analogy.
I mean, well, it's true. We're co-signing, right? I mean, we are acting as.
You're in town.
No
We're
way.
guaranteeing my-
Signing.
No
Yeah.
way, but yeah, I don't
What
know.
it is, yeah.
It's on us, but I gotta believe that the city and other people will come forward and help us out. I didn't feel that way. I wouldn't ask you to make a motion to approve that up to.
Plus there's land bank too. So the land bank could try.
There's money at the land bank. There's pride funds. There's federal money. The city's got. I mean, there's just all different.
We're taking a chance, but I don't think it's. Yeah, I think other people realize the importance of taking that building down and moving.
And it's not only the building, it's all the concrete
Yeah, so let's,
portion and
We can't turn our back on this.
entire site.
Come so far.
Right.
for people out there in Media Land, I don't think they're aware. When we say Westinghouse right now, that consists of about the 4/10 of an acre parcel in which the A building sits, and then the approximately 14-acre parcel in which the concrete slab sits. So that's a little over 14 acres of parcel. You have the A building and then all of the concrete. And we actually anticipate the concrete costing more than the A building just due to the sheer size of the acreage. So in full, those two parcels is we anticipate being around $5 million. So we just want to clear that up. It's not just the A building, right? Both parcels. We sent a letter of intent this morning to the representatives of the owners of the adjacent parcel. So I sent some rather strongly worded emails and made a lot of phone calls yesterday because I had been working on the mortgage piece for 4 months. And oddly enough, we found out while that parcel is being used as a dump, there is no agreement. And I was somewhat stern with them saying, are you aware that, you are in Cleveland and while it may not be a big deal to you, you're somehow just tacitly allowing someone to dump on a property and it's a dump.
Yeah.
And it's important to our community. So I think that resonated, and I received a phone call from the vice president, who I think called the agent I've been working with and said, you need to call. So
right.
We're moving forward with that. Time is of the essence.
They may not even know that stuff's being.
They didn't. But that was my message. Hey, either you're the owners or you represent the owners, and to just not know what's going on a property that you represent is not acceptable when it's being used as a dump.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I was not happy.
Right.
And I don't think they knew that. And I also implored them to look into the individuals they were previously thinking about doing business with, and they didn't know that either. So it was sort of out of sight, out of mind. I said, for you guys, it is.
Mhm.
In our community, it's 30 years.
Right.
So I'm wholeheartedly in favor of this commitment.
So you're making a motion.
I'll make a motion that we guarantee up to $1 million should we get the money
Mhm.
of required match for the Westinghouse development.
I'll be glad to second that.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vero,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
Yes.
And I assume Amy needs a letter.
Yes.
Can't wait till next week
No.
to get my minutes.
Do we have it already ready do we have a commitment letter drafted?
I do not, but I can work on that.
She'll whip one up real quick.
So that you can go get that letter. Why don't we see if the press has any comments and you can go write that letter.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So Al or Carl, you have any comments?
Yeah, well, no comments, just real quick. Amy, Bart, do you guys, has the Department of Development given any idea on how quickly they will process these requests and begin to approve them?
Yes, the application close date on the brownfield portion is the end of January. And so we should have the awards by the end of February. The demolition portion, the applications are due the end of February, and we'll have the awards by the end of March.
But when you say awards, you just mean the guaranteed portion. You don't mean the, hey, let's take a look at what's left over and then award
No.
from that. So that's just I don't even consider them awards, Carl, because those are guaranteed via the legislation.
Okay, so wrecking ball's not March 1st down at the A
No.
building.
Oh, no.
No,
And is it a done deal that the A building is going to have to come down, or can that be remediated and repurposed, the building, or has the decision already been made on that?
I think that once we did the phase 2, that the results of the phase 2 leave a lot of doubt about trying to save the building because there's a lot of unknowns about some tanks that were under the ground in 1914 and no records of those tanks being removed. So it's unknown if the building was built over top of tanks. Were they removed? Were they filled in? There's just too many unknowns. Concrete is too thick, too much rebar to do any kind of ground penetrating radar to see what's there. So I think it's a risk, a great risk if you were to try to save the building.
I would bet that in 1914, when they got ready to start building and they saw that hole there, they looked around to see what they could throw in it to fill it. I'm sure they didn't clean it up.
I wasn't there.
Well, I was, well,
Right.
I know.
That clear.
You were down in Belleville.
Yeah.
You weren't there. But that's what people did back then. I mean, they didn't think about cleaning stuff up.
Well, a good example of that is when they tore the courthouse down here. And when we went to do the
Yeah,
landscaping
Mhm.
the last in 21, 20,
whatever. Yeah.
we found bricks,
Yep.
pictures still hanging on the walls. So they just
Collapse.
didn't even cave in the walls. They just
Exactly.
covered it up.
So,
They didn't build on top of it.
Okay, not to beat an already beaten dead horse. Just a formality. The land bank owns the 8-building property. It's been donated. Can someone come forward and present to you a plan that says, I want the building and I've got $15 million and here's my plan to do something with it? Is that, well, that's what it would take at this point if somebody had that, would have to step up to do that.
I'm sure we would still listen to plans. We currently are not the owners. The deed has not transferred yet. We have an agreement for it to transfer in the next couple weeks. But currently, we are not the legal owner.
Yeah, Carl, I think the answer is yes. But as our environmental consultant told us, he's not even sure it's possible
Right.
due to the contaminants and getting to the tanks. We're not even sure even now, he did say anything's possible within limited funding, right? So, but the tanks in and of itself, even before you get to the contaminants and the vapor intrusion system, make this nearly impossible. I mean, again, not impossible if someone comes up with $100 million. But I don't even salvage the building you can't without knowing the tanks. They're not going to let you. You're not going to get the necessary permits.
also not sure legally that we could transfer it to someone knowing, we would
Correct.
need to know they're gonna clean it up, or we would have some liability.
Right.
So, well, I mean, I think we'd have a big issue with that.
It would be very difficult to get the no further action letter from the EPA without knowing for sure what is or is not under the ground.
Okay, just wanted to check because I'm sure there's some folks out there who are still going to ask that question. So I thought I'd get it answered at this point.
Sure. Understood.
I need a little bit of clarification. The 8-building is which one? Is that the one that they were originally that they were using as a business incubator at one time that has the
No,
No,
This A building's across the street from it.
if you,
all right, one along the railroad tracks?
Yes.
So the Commerce Center is still somewhat in use, Al, and it's bigger than the 8-well wider. It's bigger than the A
Oh,
building,
quite a bit bigger.
quite a bit bigger than the A building. So this is the brick, smaller building that is just the building and the parcel are one and the same.
Yeah, it's right next to where the concrete slabs are.
Yep, and across the street from Braintree.
Yes.
Okay, Braintree is still using that building.
Their building, not the A building.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one with the auditorium on the top floor and everything.
No, that's
That's
the
the
Commerce Center.
Commerce Center.
Commerce Center, that's H.
Yeah,
that's
that's
across
what
it.
I want to make sure it's not the Commerce Center.
It is
the-
No.
not the Commerce, no.
Okay.
This is everything between 4th and 5th Street.
Yeah.
The parcels between 4th and 5th Street, the Westinghouse parcels there.
All the broken windows.
So will that then clean up that whole Westinghouse area then between the two projects, between the E building and the removing the concrete?
That's our goal.
We hope. Now, we still want those other parcels too. Amy and I had some emails about that this morning. And I had said, because until we're working with Electrolux, I just checked in on them, but we want to get those other parcels. There are actually 4 parcels under 2 parcel IDs, and those are the parcels next to Braintree by the river.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, Amy, take that letter.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I had to do it.
Now that we're very exciting initiatives, sort of
Like that letter of intent. I'll be hammering Mansfield Business Park. I'll get until today and then I'm checking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're gonna talk with Barton Hamilton, their treasurer, about a 20 transfer request.
Well, we have his,
Pardon me?
we have his 2022 budget to talk about and his 21 transfer requests
Okay.
items,
Okay. What do you want to do first?
Your world, Bart.
whatever you'd like.
We'll do the request first.
Okay.
Transfer request. Okay.
Transfer request.
Yep.
Now we move money in accounts a lot. I've never moved money to a salary line item before. Really didn't understand that I needed to ask you guys. So first of all, I want to apologize for that. I did for my not understanding that. Because we move money all the time. You guys sign for us to move money
Absolutely.
constantly, but I just didn't know that. You were short because Matt Finfgeld, who's just here, said he wanted to go and get the job at the Board of Elections. We knew we were going to lose him. He's been my chief deputy for 14 years. We took his job and split it up between Melissa and Amber and had them learn the jobs. And I told them you're going to have to do those jobs till we find a replacement. I really didn't know how long that was going to be. Then we found Andy and then brought Andy in, and Amber and Melissa trained Andy on those jobs. So I felt it was important that they get paid for that. And it was a stipend that we paid both to Melissa and to Amber. It was $3,500 for each one of them. Melissa gets paid from the DTRAC fund, my delinquent collection fund. So her $3,500 just came out of that fund. The other one, and I wasn't thinking about it when Amber got paid, it hit the general fund. So here again, that's why Amber sent a request. She's doing her job. It's the end of the year. She's looking at her funds. She could see she was going to go in the negative. So that's why she sent something over. Email that Tony and I had, I mean, it was a joke.
That's why email and text and
Well, I know.
no one's upset. We're not anticipate, we're not saying you have to lay your staff off. I was like, holy,
that was the joke. 'Cause I can't ever remember us ever laying anybody off,
Right.
which was why I said it. I was joking.
okay.
You know, I was kidding around because like you said, it's not that much money. It was just a joke. But I guess if somebody doesn't get the joke, it's not funny.
Just text and email and,
Well, I should have put a little LOL with it. Yeah, I would have probably we would have been texting, but we weren't texting. We were.
well, we don't
I
do
was-
that about public business. We're always on the record and doing
Well,
things
I know.
above board. And
Well, but you understand, I was on vacation sitting out on a patio with my iPad, and I was a little, maybe not quite as businesslike as you were. But anyway, I want to apologize.
I certainly think when people do extra work that they should be
Yeah.
compensated. They're certainly compensated in the private sector, like I said.
That's all we were doing.
All we had asked, because one of the things Marilyn, Daryl and I, and then Cliff, hey, everyone wants, but one of the things we really put a stop on and why we separated out.
Okay.
So for instance, retirements used to all be taken care of in the salary line item.
Okay.
And obviously with good intentions, if there was money left over in the year and there were situations like this, bonuses, and we said, no. So we always give an extra hairy eyeball to, hey, why are their salaries being increased? And all we had asked in the past was a reason.
I didn't, like I said,
Okay.
Haven't been down that road. Now I've been down it. So
So we appreciate your explanation and
29 years, and hopefully I won't have to do this one more time before I leave this place.
we
We
appreciate
appreciate it.
being here and letting us know how it happened.
Yeah.
And just ask that in the future, if
I will.
anything coming out of salary, put up the yellow flag and come over and talk to us.
And the exact number we're going to be off is $3,500.06.
Explanation makes sense.
The 6 cents, and that's just a rounding error in what somebody's making. So anyway,
Okay, well, let's move on
Well, we
to,
got to make the motion to approve the transfer.
oh, yeah.
excuse me.
In light of a valid explanation and people need to be compensated appropriately for extra work, I will make that motion to approve the transfer.
I'll do that in a second.
Commissioner Banks?
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow?
Yes,
Commissioner Mears?
Yes. Thank you, Joe.
thank you.
And the 22 budget.
Okay. You want to start with revenue?
Sure.
It's always a good place to start.
I got your budget up. Okay.
Okay. And we're going to do the general fund first. We'll do DTAC second. This year, let's start with treasurer fees. This year that we're in right now, we generated 406,000 in treasurer fees. When I wrote my budget initially, I wrote it for 385,000 because I wanted to be conservative. I'm going to say probably next year is probably going to be more like 400, but let's be conservative. You know, it's better to have more than not enough. Or with it.
That's your expenses. So keep talking about your revenue.
Okay.
You're good.
Trailer fees and mobile home tax. We do very little these days in mobile homes, so $5,000 is a good number. Cigarettes, here again, much of that anymore. Special assessment fees, here again, it's very small. Now we come to interest earnings. As we all know, ain't been great. Now, I put down 400,000 because, life's awful. But as I went back through a couple days ago, I think we can go up to 550,000.
What happened to the million we were getting a couple years ago?
You want to revise that to 550?
Yeah, let's revise it to 5.
Don't tell people because then they'll want more money.
Well, 550.
And is
I'm
Pat, is
hoping
the
to
budget
do-
commission okay with that, I guess? I mean, I know we're doing it for our budget.
And I think that's going to be a good figure.
Art's on the budget.
I am, yeah,
Right, I know.
I think that'll be.
Bart, Gary, and Pat.
We'll
Yeah.
speak to Dropsy.
I can show you. Well, you have my report.
I record it.
If you, that first section of the report tells you the interest earnings that are coming with what we have. If you add that up, that's 642,000. Now there's fees. Really going to come down to about 6. Now some stuff it's callables too, so you can't count on it all. So that's why I'm saying 550. Okay. And there's other interest too. We get interest on money from Star Ohio, which is horrible. Right now it's at 0.08%, which is terrible. We get interest from Richland Bank, which is even worse than Star Ohio. So we're not going to get a whole lot more money, but I think 550 is a good number.
So
Questions or comments?
how do you determine, I always try to follow DTAC, general fund, DTAC, general fund.
Okay.
How do you guys go about determining who's paid out of DTAC and who's paid out of general fund?
I try to look at DTAC and say, okay, who does the most work with delinquent collection?
Okay.
And see, the thing is, every you pick that phone up and somebody says, hi, I got delinquent taxes. What can we do? The person that picks the phone up is going to deal with them. They're not getting shifted to somebody else or whatever. The person that answers the phone is going to take care of it. So in that respect, everybody does delinquent tax work. If you're standing up at that window and you're taking a payment, and that payment's delinquent taxes, you're doing delinquent tax work. It's just everybody. But in the past, Matt was always the one that did all the delinquent collection work. Andy's moving into that, so I figure he should be there. Melissa usually is the person that helps with that. She does a lot of other stuff too. So it's just I don't have a good I don't have a good thing to really tell you, but you know,
And
like someone like Amber, as an example, almost everything Amber does is kind of general fund work. She's balancing all the banks and just a lot of that kind of stuff.
And 4 of those people are reimbursed from the land bank, right? You have Hamrick, William,
Well, yeah, when you're looking at the DTAC,
Eigler, and Rice.
yeah, you're looking at the DTAC budget. Yeah, those are people, the land bank, back up a second. They all work for the treasurer's office.
Right.
And the easiest way to deal with those folks is we put them in the DTAC fund. Then I get reimbursed
From the land bank.
land bank for all their pay, all their benefits, all that stuff. So you
There's
got,
really only 2 people that DTAC is not getting. It's odd because land bank is paid by DTAC, well, percentage of the DTAC. And then it's like land bank, then
5%
percent of that goes back. And then that part of that 5% helps, well, pays for those 4 people.
5% of of all the delinquent collections is what runs the land bank. About $300,000 a year. 2.5% comes to the treasurer's office. Here again, about 150,000. 2.5% also goes across the street to my friends in the prosecutor's office. Their work doing delinquent collection. That's what this young man used to do. A little bit of money everywhere, and it's really a smart idea. You've got the delinquent. If people are paying late, paying penalties, they're the ones that are financing our ability to go out and collect delinquent tax. Makes sense, you know. And if you want to help the land bank, just pay taxes late.
I know.
I love saying that. That's one of my favorite things to get to say when I go out somewhere.
I don't have any more questions.
Well, for 2022, though, it looks like you're moving Melissa fully back into the general fund.
Yes.
Yes. If you remember, let's go back in time. Last year, you needed 10%. You needed a 10% drop. He came and talked to me. So I moved one of my employees from general fund back out. I'm just moving them back this year. And people are getting a raise. Amber's getting a bigger raise than most of the people, but here again, that's happening because since Matt left, she's doing more things than she did before. Kind of rearranged what some.
That's presuming you get your full request, though.
Well, I'm just saying, right? That's why I requested.
Okay.
Requested because she's doing a different job now than she did before. I mean, she's doing the same job, but she's doing more. Yeah. So, and so is Melissa to that, you know. But one of the good things that's really come from, you know, I miss Matt. Don't take this the wrong way. I miss the kid. But one of the good things that's happened is more cross training has happened. And cross training is great. Good stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. So that's the good side.
Believe that you, to the best of your ability today, have your employees divided like they should be with the DTAC? I mean, should Melissa be half and half? Should, because you have to do the best. And like you said, it depends on who comes to the window, who answers the phone, and that's kind of hard.
Yeah, it depends
But-
on what day it is. I mean, if you really, I suppose, you know, here again, if you really wanted to try to do that, you'd really have to look at, I don't know how you do that. I've never really thought of, I mean, it's been talked about, but it gets so complicated to try to do that. Yeah, I just don't know how you would do it.
Okay.
I mean,
So in the DTAC, you only have Andy
I show,
plus the land bank employees for 22.
I have Andy, Hines, and the 4 land banks in DTAC for
Mhm.
22.
Okay.
we usually, I mean, when I write the budget, I look at the treasure fee. Gary Cole, do you remember? Any of you know Gary Cole from Crawford County? He was a longtime treasurer, Crawford County. Gary worked with the Treasurers Association. It took 9 years for us to get this treasurer fee changed. the old days of a treasurer's fee, if you were a big county, you had so much money, you didn't know what to do with it. There was money everywhere. And a lot of them, actually, they had so much money, they used some of that money to start land banks. They would take some of it and give it to the land bank and work it. If you were a small county, you didn't have anything. The fee was all messed up. Gary used to teach mathematics at one high school over there in Crawford County. And Gary went through and he redid this formula where now the big counties don't get all the money that they used to get. They don't need it. The little counties get more money because they really did. They had no help. They had no money for help. And middle counties like us, we get about what we used to get, maybe a little more, but not a lot. But when I write a budget, I look at that fee. Okay, I look what it generates. Here again, I always look at it and say, okay, I'm going to be conservative. And then I write a budget that's always under that. Because you guys get the difference. All the difference all goes to the general fund.
Well, the taxpayers get it.
Well, you're the folks that you spend most of the general fund money. Most of the sheriff and all those different things. Those are in the general fund. But this money goes into the general.
Right. We want that million in interest.
I'd love to have $1 million in interest. When I started here as treasurer, I was buying stuff at 6%, 5 3/4, just all day long. 5-year notes was great. Right now, we just bought a 1.15 for 5 years. It's horrible. It's terrible. But it's better than what it was a year ago. A year ago, it was like 0.5. So, things are getting, rates always drop faster than they ever come back.
I know. We went from like over $1 million to boom. I went, oh, yeah.
When the COVID really started, those rates just tanked. And now it's going to slowly come back. Same kind of thing back in 2008. Rates weren't too bad. And then they tanked and stayed there.
Yeah, because if you look at 2019 interest, we were, hold on, it takes a second.
Well, you don't want to see the interest from back in like 06, 07, 08.
We were in 2019, the general fund got back $1.8 billion in interest.
I was doing 2 and 3 million.
And then just last year, just like that, we finished at.
Well, and Tony, I was doing it on a portfolio of like
much less
$40 million.
Right.
We're up
with a bigger portfolio. We ended at 1.3, so we lost $500,000. And year to date through November, we are at, hold on, that's November. I don't want that. I want 2021.
Amber hasn't put November in yet.
But I saw Pat kind of, as Pat and I play our numbers game where
I think I'm probably going to miss 800,000.
We are year to date through November, according to Pat, 687,000.
Yeah, I think that's what I have.
One more month to go.
Yeah.
So from $1.8 million at the end of 2019 to not even at the end of 2021. Yeah. Do you think we'll even get to 800? I don't think so either.
I think I'm going to miss it. I don't think I'm
$1 million. $1 million.
I think
there's $1 million.
We got 550 in it for next year.
Yeah. Well, like I say, if you take your report, add them up, go to that, the end of that page of interest.
But that's part of the revenue loss calculation. Our big 2 revenue loss pieces in the ARPA calculation are interest and engineer. You're looking at, we had 1.3 live it. So yeah, you're looking, the engineer and the interest earnings are your big loss.
Yeah. Sorry, buddies.
All right.
There's just nothing I could do.
But that's why it's one piece of the ARPA I liked is they accounted for that. So now in talking to Pat though, we declared a revenue loss of 3.2 and we can declare it 3 more times. I asked Pat this question for ARPA's meeting tomorrow. Pat thinks probably only another 700 grand more total over the next three declarations. I mean, it's approximate, but at most. So you're talking about 4 million in revenue loss, even though we declared in the first round 3.2. Yeah, because I'm speaking at ARPA yesterday and I just asked for ballpark.
That,
Sales tax is 15% better. I mean,
well, that's true. Yeah, sales tax has
I
been,
mean,
everybody's sitting at home buying.
things are right. Things are coming back. So,
Yeah.
and now I know you get to, but that first year is where the hit is.
Yeah. Interest will come back eventually, but it's always slow.
Well,
It's about at 1.15%. Inflation is, we're talking what, 6+%? So we're losing money, which we have no control.
There's nothing.
well,
It's just awful.
we, anything else, gentlemen?
No.
Okay.
Thanks for coming in, Bart.
Anything out from our friends out in
Al and,
Al,
Carl?
yeah.
Al, you got any questions?
No.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, folks.
Thanks, Bart, for coming over. Appreciate it.
Amanda's next. Amanda's next. Okay, yeah.
Well, according to our schedule, the executive session with wastewater. Which we better keep.
So moved.
Yes.
Commissioner Vero,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
Yes.
Hi, Amy Hoffman. Now we have to kick you out for COVID.
Okay.
Okay, it is 11:08 and we are back in regular session. And we have you care to make a motion, please?
At this time, I make a motion that we approve the creation of a second chief of maintenance position at the wastewater staff. It's a bargaining unit position with a base compensation rate of $17.10 per hour. Per the contract, the position must be posted internally for 5 days to allow any internal bargaining unit members to apply for the position if they wish.
I will second that motion.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vero,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
Thank you guys.
Nice work, Ms. Miller.
Thanks, Amanda. Okay. Our next point of business. Homer Energy. And we have Amy Hoffman. Morning. So we had your letter of different things that you.
So you saw the bad news.
Yeah.
I have nothing good. Unfortunately, although this, we have been saying the last two contracts as pricing kept going down, we knew it was coming, and I know you're all aware of the current market. So we sent it out to 10 suppliers, 7 responded, and pricing is in front of you. I'm sure you read and at least 2 of you know that we've always done fixed pricing. You know, it's the same rate that shows up each month, and but this time our recommendation is do a capacity pass-through, meaning we lock in, and that's the rates in front of you, about 75% of the price, and then capacity, which makes up about 20 to 25%, truly is each month, instead of the suppliers giving us what the capacity is. And we're doing that, as it was explained. You typically know 3 years out what capacity is. The auctions occur, they're set, and what the suppliers are doing is, okay, this is the market, this is what we anticipate the market to be, this is the number we're going to come up with. And that's why we do the RFP. So whoever wants to be the most competitive goes to the top. But because of regulatory and changes and discussions on how auctions are going to continue, they're not going out 3 years. So that is why we're recommending capacity pass-through. So there's 2 line items. I mean, it's separated out, but then it'll be on the bill as one. So each facility will be paying exactly what it should be, because we don't have that set. The auctions didn't occur. If we go fixed, which we gave those pricing as well, when the auction happens for that next auction year and the price auction, the capacity rate comes back lower than what the supplier anticipated, they are not going to give you that money back. You know, you will have paid that premium. But on the flip side, if they estimate it lower and capacity is actually higher, it will be a pass-through event and they will charge you. So because we don't know, it just makes sense to fix what we typically fix, the rest of, you know, what the energy costs are, and then do the pass-through for the capacity, since we don't want you paying more than you need to, since it's not going out 3 years.
So the way I understand it,
Yes.
and this energy, as I continue to learn, is you have the fixed pricing system. Here's what's going to be, no matter what your usage is.
Correct.
If it's if it's,
I mean, by historical usage.
Right.
Yes.
yeah, I mean, they base their rate off of your historical use.
And they look at your PLCs.
How long you agreed.
Right. They take into all that, the PLCs, which come out in January. So when we do refresh, we will have new PLCs. So this number will probably change. The market's already come down a little bit from when this came back. So I'm not going to say for sure when we refresh in February, let's say, we anticipate it to being a little bit better, a lower price. I can't guarantee that, but the market trends right now, the winter we're already having, what the futures gas market is, it's all come down since we had this come back. And
So should we wait to see if we get better fixed pricing?
well, so we move forward, but yeah, we're going to refresh in January. This was just, remember, we just do this, it comes back. We know that regardless, these 3 top suppliers of the 7 that came back will still be the most competitive. So we're not locking in anything except for having the prosecutor's office review those Dynegy, Freepoint, and AEP. But when we refresh, that is the rate we're going with, and we're okay still.
Okay, so
this is
pricing
preliminary.
and there's capacity pass through. And the way I boil it down in my head is, all right, fixed pricing is here's what it's going to be.
Right.
However they come to that figure, it's going to be
Yes.
X amount of months you agree.
Yes.
Capacity pass through is say, well, you're going to pay, I think you said 75% of that fixed pricing. And then there's wiggle room based off of actual usage, and they charge you that remaining gap, right? And it's simple
Yes.
terms.
Yes.
And in your letter, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
And your letter said, hey, here's why we want to go through capacity pass through.
Mhm.
And we're estimating based on your PLCs
Yes,
that the capacity pass through, that non-fixed portion,
correct.
could be anywhere from 38,600 to 3,200 a month.
For the first year, correct.
Okay. So
22
that's the variant.
to 23.
That's the capacity pass through variant,
Yes.
right? Okay.
That's
So I'm
what we
understanding.
anticipate.
So the only question I had then, and again, and this is where I don't understand, is what variance costs did Palmer use in coming up with those pricings to get you to that level?
Well, it's not Palmer. So again, the auctions came out. We know what the auctions are for the May 22 to May 23. And that's what we pulled out, that this was the current PLCs, which new
We
PLCs.
don't actually know what the capacity pass through is, right?
No,
That's based off your usage.
capacity is off of usage, it's off of numbers of days, and it's off of PLCs. It's a combination of everything.
So it can fluctuate.
It can fluctuate, right? And that's why we want to be a pass-through. So you're paying exactly what the capacity is.
Right. So I guess the only thing I was trying to understand to make the math work is when you had the difference between the fixed pricing and the capacity pass through, right? Your capacity costs.
Mhm.
And the front of the
About capacity is about 20 to 25%
right.
of the complete
We
cost.
said we're going to get up to that
75%.
Right. So my question is, in the 25%,
You're right.
where your letter said, hey, it's anywhere from 38,600 to 3,200 based off of your usage, right?
38,000 annually or 3,200 per month. Right.
Okay.
For that first year.
So let's see here.
But it will vary again.
Month. You have 38,600 or 3,200 per month, not 38,600 annually and 3,200 per month.
No, it's 38,000. She should have put annually. Capacity rates are approximately 38,600 or 30,
So if I do, all right, so let me do this then. Okay, 600.
which is right.
Could they be more than the 38,600? Or are we locked in at that 38,600?
No, it's what we anticipate because of current PLCs, but new PLCs come out in January. So we'll know more precisely in January for just the next year.
Okay, so we believe then you use that 3,200 a month figure for the
Correct.
capacity cost.
Correct. And that's how we figured it when we were giving,
Could be more.
it could, it's not going to be much of a difference that first year.
because we're going off of historical usage. PLCs don't change very often unless you had something significant this past year occur with like HVAC, any upgrades. Because they're going to take off of what happened this summer, your PLCs, 5 hottest days and what you were doing. And then every January, they look at that for your peak load contribution, what you need to have flowing at any given time because of what was used those 5 hottest days.
So let's say, and I'm just trying to.
So you're fine.
So let's say something happens and energy costs skyrocket. We don't think it's going to happen, but so are you locked? The 25% is variable. I think that's what I'm getting at, right?
It's not in a sense capacity. We already know what the capacity costs are for that year. So now it's just a wiggle of, is it a 31-day month or a 28-day month? And your PLCs, which have already been looked at, they're going to change. But what we don't know is
you estimated the variable off of our historical usage, right? I'm not trying to trip you up. I'm just trying to understand.
I know.
So that 25%, Palmer went and looked and said, hey, here's your history. This is what we anticipate prices being, and this is your usage.
Right.
And so your 25% that's variable is probably going to cost you X.
Which is typically like, it is what it is. It's fixed. We know the auctions occurred and the auctions are the auctions. And that's why we've always kept it together, because we knew what those auctions are. And now we only know them 1 year out.
Okay. So let's say energy prices for whatever reason skyrocket. Could we pay more than $3,200 a month, or are we locked in?
That reason. It's that other portion, that 75% is really what the market is. Capacity is more about supply and demand, but it's already.
So you're getting that same rate. It's just your use. So we're locked in at that 75% rate.
Right.
So
That's your energy.
you-
That's the usually
Okay.
unknown.
So even any price change, we're locked in on the price that gets us to 75%. This is what I didn't understand and trying to do the math.
And we still have to call it variable because there's pass-through events that happen, but those are rare and
That's what I wasn't
typically
at a different price. You're locked in at that 75% rate.
Yes, that's what we're locking in, and the capacity pass-through we want it to be just exactly what it is.
Okay. So
Because typically we know it. So since we don't know it, we don't want the suppliers.
as long as our energy usage doesn't go up,
It can go up,
at the 6,000
not like,
in variable, was it worth it not locking in for $6,000? But unless it's our energy consumption that goes up.
yeah. And I
we
mean,
should have those savings based off of historical trends. Okay.
so,
24 months versus 36 months.
and we're doing that. Our recommendation is
Solar.
because of the solar. So this next 2-year contract will have no solar in it.
Do we
Sorry?
think solar will be ready in 24?
Mark and Kirk believe it will be ready in 24. And that's why we're recommending 24 over 36. Our last update with the solar is it's in with the Ohio Prosecutors Association. The PPA is being worked out so that we have one PPA for the 50
We're
plus
looking at
counties.
$1,000 savings. I mean, is it worth it to not go with a fixed price for $1,000?
Well, but no, see, it could be worse, because what I'm saying is because in year 2, those capacity rates aren't determined. And if the suppliers go higher, you're eating that. And that could be significant.
Wait, help me understand that. I thought we're locked into point
No, your capacity,
05270 for 24 months.
but that 25% is the pass through. And if you lock in the whole amount and capacity, let's say they say it's a 50 kW and it ends up being 175, they're going to then make a pass through event for the difference. I know. It's as clear as
Even if we fix the whole thing,
you're fixed.
2 years, they could still charge us more if our
Correct.
capacity.
Capacity ends up being higher than they determined. Yes, absolutely. And that's why we're saying,
Fixed rate could change.
no, not,
Keller,
not,
in this, I'm
not the 75%, strictly the,
talking the fixed price.
If he wants to fix price on.
I want the fixed pricing. Let's say we say, hey, we hear you, Palmer.
the last option.
Let's talk fixed pricing.
Okay.
You're locked in at 0.05270,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
Okay. And I'm just.
I know.
I get confused. If I look at go back to Appendix A,
Correct.
the savings you show is $1,000. Right?
It's, so you're looking at the 4815.
97, 98, 99, 98.
Yep.
Then so the lowest bidder, it's a savings of $1,000.
In theory, yes.
Right. But if our usage goes up, we could end up paying more via the capacity pass through. And so my ultimate question is a $1,000 savings worth?
It's not on usage. It's these auctions occur and they set them over the whole grid of that utility. Now, everyone individually, because of how your peak load is, helps determine that, but capacity is capacity. So I can tell you the ones we did in May of 2021, the renewals. For those, no, everyone went with our suggestion. Everyone did capacity pass through. But looking back at what it would have been fixed, capacity came in lower. So they would have been paying more than they needed to because they didn't do capacity pass through. Because everyone did capacity pass through. So they were in a better place because capacity auction occurred and it was lower than all of the suppliers anticipated.
So you guys have capacity costs will vary based on several factors.
Correct.
And will vary monthly based upon calculations that include specific accounts PLCs.
Correct.
Which is usage, right?
It's peak load.
Peak load, which is
not really how much, but how.
how, okay.
Okay.
The number of days in the billing cycle and the system capacity costs.
Right.
That's the variance. So what I'm trying to get at is $1,000 really worth it? Meaning if our PLCs go up in any given month or any given year, is that $1,000 really worth some variance that could cause it to be more? That's what I'm ultimately trying to figure out. I'm just saying.
I know.
When I looked at the cost, I'm going, wait a minute. We're saving $1,000 on a variance that if we use, and I don't think they're going to, I'm not saying, holy cow, we're going to get a bill for $100 million.
No, you're not. So let me just, this was the update, the CCAO update that everyone when we had the meeting. And if you didn't attend, we sent it. It was a CCAO electric update on November 3rd. So talking about capacity pass through. Significant avoided costs for 2021 renewals based on capacity coming in lower than anticipated. Avoided cost varies by county, term, supplier, etc. However, in AEP, the difference between 2021/2022 and 2022/2023 rates is a 92 megawatt day, 184% over actual 2022/2023 actual rates. And then First Energy and Duke, which I know you have First Energy as well. So it came in significantly lower than when they did the auctions. And that's the avoided costs that had occurred. We are only going off of what we know. There's the unknown for year 2. So
are we locked in with the capacity costs? Let's go back to appendix A then. We're guaranteed for 24 months. The capacity costs will include that 0.04815 rate.
It'll be 4815, yeah, 0.04815. We're going to refresh.
Of how you
Plus what-
say it, how we use the energy.
Yes, so and it's not what we determine. It's an auction is set, the megawatt day comes out, and then they filter in what you use, how you use it. It's a formula.
And Palmer really believes that that $1,000 savings is going to come into fruition. And I'm saying if that's the answer, that's the answer.
Yes, again, it's because if they still estimate, if they say they feel it's going to be 181 megawatt day and it ends up being 91, that is a big difference. It's again, your usage, but it's how they take that usage with the megawatt day. That's where it gets, the formula gets more.
So we're looking at, we're taking a little bit of a gamble on $1,000. In other words, well, I guess they could go back and negotiate with the top three and maybe we get a little better rate. But then I would presume we'd get that on the fixed side too, right?
Yeah, I think
You would.
Look, I mean, that's why we pay them. I guess I'll say, okay, I think for $1,000 to have some fluctuation, it doesn't make me feel overly warm and fuzzy, but Mr. Keller, you're a new.
Final decision will be in February, right?
So we'll do our usual. I will send you, I think I already did send you. Did I just send you this? All right. So when I get back to the office, I will send you the 3 documents. AEP is your current supplier. So I'm assuming that contract can be looked at again, but it's already been approved. So the other 2 red line agreements will go to the prosecutor's office when they're done. And we've got 3 good contracts. We will wait to see how the market goes because we have time. This is up in May. We want to have everything kind of March done so that one supplier will go to the next contract ends. The next one obviously begins. And we'll keep an eye on the market and we'll pull when the market's, again, it's already come down from when we did this. If it continues to trend, which the futures market in gas is trending down and electric follows gas. So we anticipate it being better.
Andrew, you have anything?
And according to that, we're gonna go up $125,000.
Yeah, we're gonna lose. I mean, it's
Yeah,
we're gonna yeah, it's going up. It's just
against your current contract.
Yeah.
Your current contract is 411.
Right.
414.
Everything's going up. But Andrew, help me.
Compare the utilities in the low 5s right now.
Concur with Palmer. I'm gonna look at the contracts though.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll after looking at the contracts.
Yes.
But I concur at this point.
It's not an easy concept.
No, I just was looking at
I mean, I went back to Melissa.
and savings. I mean, what if the rate? What if?
Melissa's the electric, I don't know if you've met Melissa, but I said, Melissa, this is how I'm explaining it. And I'm still not. And she goes, no, you're saying it right.
You're taking a little bit of gamble that the 25% that isn't locked in
Yes.
off of historical rates, you're going to be a little better.
You're going to pay exactly
The answer
what you
is
should pay
right.
instead of possibly paying more and not getting that money back.
Okay. If you say so.
Not as easy to explain as broadband.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. So would you just need a head nod for us?
Yes,
What do you want the motion to be, Amy?
that we will go forward with a 24-month contract and we will refresh pricing with Dynegy, Freepoint, and the current supplier AEP Energy.
Okay.
Significantly, I mean, they're
Motion.
Yeah, we are in regular session. Excuse me. Second.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow,
Yes.
have it that way.
Commissioner Mears.
That's clear as mud.
Well, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
Coming down and
Gee.
I will say I'm nearly as confused as I was yesterday.
We're going through this going.
I've got a couple questions.
Oh, no.
No, Al.
Oh,
Go
yes.
ahead, Al.
They're fairly simple. The
Oh,
way I understand it, the 70 to 75% is cost of electricity. The 20 to 25% is the transmission cost.
No, it's not the transmission. Well, I guess you could say it that way. I mean, it's called capacity and it is, what is available on the line and it is supply and demand. So Yes.
So the day they
I don't want to call it distribution because there's
off our light,
distribution on the regulated side, but what did you say, Commissioner?
the day they do that capacity billing, we all turn off our lights
And the air conditioning.
and the air conditioning.
Well,
Right,
on your PLC days, yes,
Yeah.
but
So basically what you're recommending is continuing with AEP and then waiting to see what the rates are? Is that what?
no, AP, the supplier who currently has the contract is one of three that we will refresh. And then on the day the commissioners are ready to sign, we refresh on the top three. And whichever of the three have the best rate, that's the contract, unless the county wants to do something differently, which all three suppliers are good suppliers and there's no issue with any of them. And so we would go with the best offer.
So basically,
Okay,
we're
and
gonna do
it's-
the same exercise again now in February.
Okay, so basically the suppliers are AEP, Duke, and First Energy.
Oh, it's Dynegy.
3 Point, Dynegy, and AEP Energy, and those are the suppliers.
And what was Dynegy, AEP, and what?
3 Point, they're all suppliers.
Okay, the reason why I was asking is personally, and you were talking about how electric follows gas. I had been on, budget plan with my gas. And they gave me a budget plan, then all of a sudden the next month it doubled. And basically it was their transmission costs that they listed on my bill that doubled because my usage last year was over a certain amount. Is this kind of the same thing you're talking about?
So pretty much anyone that had budget gas for their homes or businesses, I'm sure their budget did not cover what the costs have been. November's gas bills increased significantly because the NYMEX was up. Your consumption on your gas bill, what we're looking at is it's NYMEX plus the basis, and NYMEX gas on the NYMEX soared in November. It came down a little bit in December. And so if the cost of gas is going to go up and gas is used for electricity, it follows.
Well, I guess what I was saying in my own personal case, the cost of it wasn't the price for the natural gas. It wasn't the cost per cubic foot. It was the actual, what they listed on my bill as transmission cost.
Yeah,
they tripled the transmission cost, which doubled my bill.
I would have to look at your bill.
Well, I mean, does that sound like what they were changing in terms of, how they determined rates and stuff? You said they made changes.
No, so on the utility side, there's tariffs, there's riders, they change periodically. Some are quarterly, some are annually. You'd have to look to see what was changed. I really can't answer to your bill without looking at it.
All right.
But I'm talking about on the deregulated side, the gas on the NYMEX has increased.
Okay. And basically what you're saying is what you're talking about for the county is different than what I'm experiencing personally. That's what I'm trying to.
Yes, it sounds like your increase
Okay.
sounds like it was on the regulated side, on the utility side. And we're
Okay,
strictly, with these contracts, these are strictly generation supplier contracts, which makes up about 40% of your utility bill.
Okay. The only other question I had, you mentioned the term PLC. What's PLC?
That's peak load contribution. So the 5 hottest times of the year, so typically August, September sometimes, that is the hottest days and what you used at those hottest times. And it could be 3 o'clock, on July 30th. And so those are determined. And then what you're doing, what your business, it's not really residential, what your business is doing at that time, that next year. It's determined every January after, from the previous year is determined what your PLC is, which is then in turn used for capacity, demand, and so forth.
Okay, those are the only questions I had. Thank you.
Okay, well, Amy, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Giving us this, you know,
My job. I'm sorry.
It's like clear as mud.
I know.
Look at all our faces for $1,000.
well,
I guess could be where.
So I'll forward those over to you, and as soon as we have those good, then we'll just wait to see where the market goes.
I see University of Toledo's first bowl game of the
It
season,
is noon tomorrow.
Friday noon.
No, where is it?
ESPN, Bahamas. They're in the Bahamas Bowl.
Cliff's going.
Yeah.
He's gonna wear a tiki or whatever.
It's on ESPN. You can watch it.
Who are they playing?
Skirt.
Like Middle Tennessee or Middle.
Tennessee.
Okay. So yeah,
Okay, we'll go Rockets.
they kick off the whole season of what, 44 bowl games or something. There's
Yeah.
a crazy amount. So
Okay, well, we're gonna go to
I
have a
have,
safe trip home.
thank you.
I have an other.
Well, we got
Merry
other,
Christmas.
we're gonna do others.
Merry
first.
Christmas.
That's true.
Okay, we're gonna do others, and the first thing is to approve December 14th meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Mr. Vero,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
Okay, then can we approve the transfers and transfer request?
There is an appropriation from the health department too.
We got appropriations and a transfer request.
I should say no because it's Van Meter, but 'tis the season.
Hmm.
Motion.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vero,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
Okay, can we approve the quarterly overtime for the wastewater department?
So moved.
Something you do every year, right?
Quarterly.
Quarterly.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vero,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
Okay. Loan fund administration agreement. And
It's through regional planning
okay, with the Ohio Department of Development,
development.
Regional Planning.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vero,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
Yes. We have an permit application project summary. And this is on Darlington East Road. Everstream wants to bore a 1 to 2 inch conduit between two utility poles along the south side of Darlington East Road.
Moved.
Second.
Banks,
Yes.
Vero,
And I believe we have other.
I have Commissioner Vero. Would you please pick up the treasurer's personal service schedule for the general?
Hold on a second, please. Cliff is giving us all the Rona. You want to bring up Bart's budget?
His personal service schedule for the general.
Okay, hold on. Get out of that. All right, some county treasurer. Okay, you want DTAC or do you want general
I
fund?
want general fund.
Yes, ma'am.
So you have Amber, Melissa, Ellen, and Lisa.
I have Amber, Melissa, Ellen, and Lisa.
Okay, and on what he submitted, the 2021 base salaries. So 53, 34, 32, and 30,000. That totals 151,320.
Okay,
That is all based off of 26 pays, not 27. So he needs at least 151, 320 with no raises. We cut him to 151 from his 160 request. I went through and I took like Amber's rate per hour times 2080, and it's the 53,040, which is what he submitted. So I think we need to adjust that. He requested 164.72, cut him to 151, but those dollar amounts are based off of 26 pays and not 27, like we assumed. If you did 3% off the 151, 320, it'd be 155, 859.60, which is less than what he asked for. And then he would have to determine,
what do we have him at?
have him at 151.
Because we were presuming he actually calculated 27 pays.
Correct.
Fine, go up to that 155.
I just wanted to make sure that we're,
We had some room and that was just a clerical error.
Not using DTAC this year for Amber, then.
for
No.
Melissa,
Melissa.
not at all, yeah. Moving her back to the general fund. And do we need any other changes on juvenile?
No,
Okay, do you want to make any changes to the building maintenance utility line item based on what we just heard? Now, he increased it and we didn't cut it because we were concerned about water bills. Because those are all going,
my thoughts are don't make any changes yet. We can adjust accordingly once we see in February, right? It could get better.
Yep.
So I wouldn't mess with it now. We know we're gonna have to pay it, right? That's one of those costs where I wouldn't mess with it until we know.
okay. And I got workers' comp numbers from Jenny this morning. So
So we'll have the budget on the agenda for next week to pass.
those in.
Okay.
To make sure that those are all correct. And in light of what Art told us today with his revenue increase, I've already emailed Mr. Dropsy. So we'll see if there's going to be any change there. And then, yes, we should be ready. But thank you for reviewing the treasurer's salary for me.
You are quite welcome.
Thank you for all your work, Stacy.
Yes. Any other? It is 11:46 and we are adjourned.
Merry Christmas, Al.
Thank you. Same to you.